Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome once again to stately Vaughan Manor, where things have gone to hell. Well, even more than usual. So, Roger and I are here to attempt to get things on some kind of track as far as our reading is concerned, or my reading anyway. He just hangs out and reads these ancient papyrus scrolls, but I have other stuff that I was planning on reading, and things have just, like I said, gone to hell. So, that is why we are here for this very important meeting where we can discuss some emergency plans to help get things back on track for February. That's right, the month of February. This is February here. I got this calendar from the local Mexican restaurant, and here it is, February. Look, I've got a dentist appointment on the 13th. See, I am so organized. Anyway, you won't think so once I've started talking about the things that are going on with my reading. So, wait a minute, what happened here? Why is there only 28 days in February? What happened to the last 2 days in February? What? I told you the dangers of using that time machine. See, Roger's gone and destroyed the whole calendar with his time machine shenanigans. March looks all right. May. What happened to Mikuary? Where's Mikuary? June? What the hell is that? What happened to we're going to do Mikuary on the range, but now it's... I guess we can do June on the range. Damn time machines. Listen, if you've got a time machine, please be careful. Anyway, so now we've got this short February that makes things even worse. Okay. Where are we at? So it is still the 9th, right? It's still the 9th. Okay, so this is the 9th. This is when I'm recording this. It'll actually be broadcast to the entire world tomorrow on the 10th. All my international fans will be able to enjoy this spectacular video. But this is pretty dire because we are pretty much at the halfway point of the month. So let's talk about the things that have gone wrong. Oh, but one thing did go right today. Hey, before we talk about things that have gone wrong, I did get something pretty exciting in the mail when I came home. This has absolutely nothing to do with anything, but I'm going to put it in here anyway. I got a new Kindle. It's really tiny. Look how tiny it is. This is just the regular Kindle, but it's very small. It fits in my pocket, which is where I got it, because I do a lot of my reading outside the manor. And so now I've got this. I can't tell you how many times I've had to go to the dentist's office, like, this next week, or the doctor's office or something, and my Kindle Paperwhite was just a little too big. Just a little too big. But now I've got this cool new Kindle that's still too bright to see. Still too bright to see, but I can turn it off. And so you get to see the cover of whatever the book it's on. It's awesome. So yeah, I got a new Kindle that's really small, and the only reason I got it is because I watched CriminOlly's channel, and CriminOlly forced me to buy it. CriminOlly did a video on this particular little Kindle. It's just their regular Kindle now, which seems to be pretty much as good as their Paperwhite, just smaller. But anyway, I bought it because CriminOlly forced me to. That guy, he's nothing but trouble. Anyway, one good thing happened this month. But anyway, what went wrong with my reading anyway? Okay, well, I had things planned out. Next thing I was going to read is this. Lieutenant Hornblower by C.S. Forster, because Richardson Reads is doing a whole read-along. Every month we read a Horatio Hornblower book, and then right back to the Edgar Rice Burroughs deep dive with The Lad and the Lion, because I'm trying to make every other book I read an Edgar Rice Burroughs book for the deep dive. And then I'm way behind on Stephen King, on my read every book by Stephen King. So I was finally going to get to different seasons. But everything has gone to hell. So how have things gone to hell? Well, first of all, I was supposed to read this, but I ended up picking up this book. This is Alas, Babylon by Pat Frank. This is one of my books for my vintage science fiction project. And I just was going through some books in my vintage science fiction box. The next box that, the current box that I'm going through, where I'm trying to read every vintage science fiction book I own before I look like Roger. And I stumbled across this book and I'm like, yeah, this book, it's like, yeah, I heard about this book, and I read the first page, oh wow, this isn't bad. And then I read the second page, and the third, and then all of a sudden I was reading this book. So I'm reading Alas, Babylon instead of the book I was supposed to read. I'm on chapter 7. I'm on page 130 of this. This was entirely unplanned. I wasn't even going to read this month at all, but here I am reading it. So that's one thing that's gone wrong. But you'd think, well, that's not so bad, Mike. You can just read this after. But every other book was going to be, but I don't have that much time. But here's what really makes it bad. So I was watching a J. Scott Phillips video today. And he reminded me that basically this month is February Fantasy Stories, which is a reading event created by the Bookish Bryants. I did this last year. And this year, the Bookish Bryants had to bow out because of all kinds of catastrophes going on at their house. Aliens have landed, there have been floods, dinosaurs are attacking, all kinds of terrible things are happening over at the Bookish Bryants house. So, they can't host this event if they're busy, fighting off goblins with pitchforks and all kinds of other things that are going on over there. So, very kindly, Steve Donoghue decided that he would host February Fantasy Stories. So, February Fantasy Stories is still going on. Now, I decided early on that I wasn't going to do February Fantasy Stories because I have all this other stuff I have to read. But then I watched this J. Scott Phillips video today, which is a video he did a couple days ago about Fafford and the Grey Mouser. It's magnificent, like all his videos are. All his videos are. I can't even speak. So anyway, during that video, he was talking about, I'm reading this for February Fantasy Stories. Where are all the February Fantasy Stories videos? Isn't anybody else doing February Fantasy Stories? Am I doing this all by myself, says J. Scott Phillips. Where the hell are you, Michael Vaughn? Aren't you supposed to be doing February Fantasy Stories too, you son of a bitch? When are you going to start reading fantasy stories, god damn it? This is exactly what he said in his video. I was shocked. By the time you see his video, he probably will have edited that stuff out. But I was kind of blown away. He totally was like, Mike, you bastard, read a fantasy story or something, god damn it, hurry up. So I was like, all right, chill out, man. Okay, J. Scott Phillips. I'll read something more fantasy this month. So I decided I got to read some fantasy. So I have this anthology. This is the Sword and Sorcery Anthology. Now, every week during February Fantasy Stories, it's a different category, right? I don't remember right at this moment what all the categories are because, I just pushed record and I didn't actually research anything. Roger's asleep, this guy. Anyway, so I thought, well, I have this. And if I read all of these stories, I was looking through these stories, and from the categories I know, I think if I read all the stories in this anthology, that'll cover everything. And I've wanted to read this anthology forever anyway. It's pretty old by now. It's got a bunch of different great writers in here. Robert E. Howard is in here with Tower of the Elephant, so that'll be fun to read again. Michael Moorcock, Fritz Leiber, George R.R. Martin, David Drake, Caitlin R. Kierman, C.L. Moore, Carl Edward Wagner, Glenn Cook, Ramsey Campbell, Paul Anderson, Joanna Russ, Gene Wolfe, Charles R. Saunders. And there's not enough Saunders out being published right now. So that'll be good. Jane Yolen, Rachel Pollack, Michael Shea, Jeffrey Ford, and Michael Swanwick. And this is edited by David G. Hartwell and Jacob Wiseman. So if I read this, I'm good for February fantasy stories. And, you know, I can get that J. Scott Phillips off my back. Anyway, you know, he's usually such a gentleman. You never know. Anyway, so yeah. So I'm going to read this after I read this. Now, this throws everything out of whack. Everything. Because how long is that going to take? Okay, so I'm still reading Alas Babylon, right? And I'm probably going to be reading this for the next couple days. So that brings us up to here, right? So it's Saturday. That's what that day is at the end. Saturday. At least you didn't change that, Roger. Anyway, and then, so this week is I'm probably only going to have time to read this, because this is, how many pages is this? This is 480 pages, so it's a fair-sized book. That's about a week, maybe. So I probably only be able to read one thing that week. That leaves me a week and 3 days, because Roger destroyed this month when he went back in his time machine, and I don't know what he did. Anyway, so there's only 28 days in February now. Sorry, everybody in the world. So I've still got all these books to read, and that's not even mentioning the Sackett's, which is another read-along thing I was supposed to be. I'm going to have to do 2 Sackett books next month. Oh, the humanities. So I definitely have to get this in. But the deep dive. So I think I'm actually going to see that everything's ruined because I'm going to have to push an Edgar Rice Burroughs book back one. So I'm probably going to have to read this one after the Sword and Sorcery book. That's what I'm thinking. So this will be the next thing I read after that. Then back to the Edgar Rice Burroughs deep dive. And then Stephen King. And that makes me think I might not get to Stephen King until next month, when I was supposed to get to it this month. Everything is just, my goodness, what a mess. See the terrible, terrible troubles I have? Oh, my life. What misery. Anyway, I guess that's my plan. I guess that's the best I can do. Yeah, I guess that's the best I can do. Roger's no help. He's sleeping over there. Anyway, and then maybe I can't do this next. Because beginning next month, I still have Roger's Cheap Old Book Club to get to. And Roger's Cheap Old Book Club, next month, if you are interested in Roger's Cheap Old Book Club, check me out on my Dopey Discord. We talk about our Roger's Cheap Old Book Club there, as well as a bunch of other stuff. Next month, we're doing this. Forgotten Planet by the Dean of Science Fiction, Murray Leinster. The Dean. So this is the Forgotten Planet. Every book in Roger's Cheap Old Book Club is available for free from Project Gutenberg, including this one. You can download a copy for free and read this book for free, but I have this old-timey copy. You know, they fight giant bugs. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. But will that mean this is pushed back? And what's that going to do to Edgar Rice Burroughs? Oh, my goodness. What a disaster. Oh, well, we'll figure it out. Okay, guys, I will catch you next time.